The Good Boss, original title El Buen Patron, a new Spanish film starring Javier Bardem, is out in theaters. It is Spain's official submission for the Oscars this year, surprisingly for me, because Pedro Almodovar's Parallel Mothers has been getting some real buzz from the critics, and yet this film is the one that goes. It's a refreshingly small movie in terms of the scale, the stakes, the storyline. It feels like a glimpse into the life of real people. Javier Bardem plays the owner and director of a company that manufactures scales used for weighing things. And the story takes place over one single week, leading up to a special commission coming over to his company to review it, because the company is a finalist of this business award competition. Obviously, the boss, named Blanco, wants everything to run as smoothly as possible, but there are problems which are slowly starting to mount. Some of them are completely out of his control, seemingly. An ex-employee starting a protest in front of the company gates, or one of his top guys suddenly fucking up at work repeatedly because of his marital problems. But other things are a direct result of his own actions, such as the affair that he begins with an attractive marketing intern. Throughout the week, we see him desperately trying to navigate all those issues, carefully trying to pull the strings so as to make it so that he comes on top every single time. Now, the tone of the film is fairly comedic and lighthearted, and I think that the central character is what makes the story work, really. See, on paper, this character archetype should kind of be a villain protagonist. He's obviously quite selfish, can be ruthless in business, but also in personal life. But somehow, I ended up rooting for him nonetheless. I think a large part of that is the script, which is careful in not painting him in an obviously just bad way. He's not exactly like a straight up evil guy. There are moments and situations where you can see him genuinely trying to do his best. And even the ones which are genuinely morally questionable, you can at least understand him. You can understand his imperfections, which make him human. One crucial thing, which I think that the movie handles very carefully, is the whole ex-employee subplot. It is never clear why that guy was fired in the first place. Was it a ruthless business decision by Blanco, or did the guy actually deserve it in some way? We never learned that, and as a result, it's not so easy to point to this one plot and say, see, the boss is evil. Of course, as time goes on, his actions in response to the protest get increasingly unethical and manipulative, but that's a separate thing. We're allowed to judge him exactly for what we see him do, not for anything that he may have done previously before the movie started. Even so, with the careful writing, I think that the character could still not work as well if it wasn't for Bardem. He is incredible in the role, showing a whole wide range of emotional states that Blanco goes through over the course of the film. Sometimes he will be charming and conversational, sometimes angry and ruthless, sometimes confused and scared, sometimes annoyed to his limits. I think that the best scenes in the film are probably the dinner scene at his house, and towards the end there's the, let's say, wine drinking scene with his wife. I won't spoil exactly what happens in them, but Bardem's facial expressions are just pure gold. In many ways, his character here reminded me of Jimmy McGill from Better Call Saul, in the way that he's a very nuanced, complicated, fleshed out character, but he's also kind of a regular guy. He's not a superhero, not a spy, or anything else that we're used to in movies. He's the person next door. And I think these types of characters are on the one hand refreshing to see, but on the other take real skill to portray, to bring to life in a way that will be interesting. I mean, the low conflict adventures of such people are not necessarily riveting and engaging, so the performance and the character work and the writing needs to draw you in. In this film, it certainly does. I think it's a fascinating character exploration piece with some serious moments in it, but also a lot more funny scenes than I would have expected. And of course, a terrific central performance by Javier Bardem.